Apologize for yesterday not being on. I had a training class I had to go to. It threw me off my. Apologize for yesterday not being on. I had a training class I had to go to. As I was saying, I had a training class I had to go to and threw my schedule off. And I couldn't get online because the signal was bad where I was. But not a whole lot going on other than the fact that we all sitting around just ticking the clock off, waiting for the opportunity to watch this game that's supposed to be coming on. And it can be excruciating depending on what you have going on that day. It's best when you're waiting on such things is to operate as if everything is normal. And when everything is normal, the time, you don't worry about the time, and the game slips right up on you. And I find that to be the case. It's best to stay busy. That's what they do. They usually start like 12 o'clock, and from like 12 o'clock all the way up to kickoff, all you're doing is watch a bunch of games and highlights and interviews and all that. Man, forget all that. What time the damn game come on is what I want to know. Usually, it used to be like 6:20 something, and now they keep pushing it back with all this entertainment and crap. I don't want to see none of that, man. What time the damn game start? So just about the time they start doing the national anthem is the time that I turn on the TV, because I could care less about all the extraneous things. The people that go to the football parties and want to be with their friends and, talk more with their friends and about the game. I don't go to that kind of stuff because I know I'm not going to be able to enjoy the game in such environments. So I watch it by myself. But in the meantime, while I was sitting here waiting on the game, they did introduce the newest Hall of Fame class last night. Some of them are no-brainers, but some of them you have to wonder, I don't know. Larry Fitzgerald, I don't have any problem with Larry Fitzgerald. Drew Brees, he played well enough, all the records he got, and won a championship. I can go with Drew Brees. Vinatieri, very clutch kicker, part of NFL lore with that the tuck game kick he made. Vinatieri is probably worthy enough to be in the Hall of Fame. And who else we have? Roger Craig. I thought Roger Craig was in the Hall of Fame years ago, but it turns out he was not. And coming through with the veterans class, it was a great honor for him. I think he's the first back to get 1,000 yards receiving and rushing in the same year. And that's one of the catalysts that helped get him to the Hall of Fame. And I think he's well deserved. And finally, you have Luke Kuechly. I heard Luke Kuechly was a good linebacker, but I don't know that position that well to say that this guy here is a Hall of Famer. He doesn't really stick out to me as a Hall of Famer. You take Urlacher, he got in. Urlacher was more of a well-known commodity than Kuechly, and I could see what Urlacher did to elevate his status. Kuechly was just one of those quiet, go-to-work kind of guys, and I don't know enough about his work to say if I think he should be in the Hall of Fame or not. So right away, he doesn't strike me as a bona fide Hall of Famer, but evidently he got in, so you have to give him his congratulations. But I think that with this honors committee letting these guys into the Hall of Fame, they need to go back and look at some of the other people. You got some people in the Hall of Fame that I don't think should be there. And you got some that definitely should be there, but are not. For instance, you got Jack Tatum. Jack Tatum is not in the Hall of Fame. With the position he played in the 70s and how he held down that center field safety position and the big hits he hit, he's a very pivotal player in the NFL. And I thought his career was worthy enough to be Hall of Fame. But of course, his legacy was tainted because he's the guy that hit Darryl Stingley that caused him to be paralyzed. Now, it was a preseason game, and it could be deemed as something vicious in the preseason. Well, anytime you play football and anytime you're getting built up to the regular season, that's where you see a lot of the most vicious hits. And when you look at it, and I don't know if you'd be able to find it, They'll blur the hit out, but you can see the approach to the hit. And the approach to the hit is that when Stingley came across the middle, he was out of position. He had got his body out of position. And anybody that hit him, if you hit him, if he got hit wrong any kind of way, it could have been detrimental. It just so happened that's what happened to him. And not that Tatum went in to try to viciously kill this man. It's just that the way his body was positioned when he got hit. And that contributed to him being paralyzed. And because of that, Tatum will probably never make it to the Hall of Fame. And that's unfortunate. But there are several others out there like that. Just Tatum was one of the ones that comes to mind. Roger Craig was in that club until he finally got in. But as a member of the, as a veteran candidate, you only have so many chances to get in. And clock is ticking for a lot of these guys. And I think it's already too late for Jack Tatum. But again, congratulations to the guys that did get in. And I think the NFL does a great job of putting these events together to try to take away the wait time away from fans who want to see this game. Now, the game itself, I'm not sure this is going to be such a great game. The question is, can New England's offense show up? If their offense can't show up, then that could be problematic. The other question is, why are you worried about New England's offense? Can Seattle's offense show up? And I think that if New England offense shows up and they can slow the Seahawks down, then you will have a great game. But the way that New England's been functioning on offense, they've been winning really kind of by divine intervention. A lot of people are still making out a big deal about the schedule that they play. Well, that's neither here or there, because it's designed for teams to play a certain level based on how you finish. If you play, there's 4 teams in each division, and you finish 4th in your division, then you're going to play that 4th place schedule. And what that means is you're going to play the 4th place team out of every division in your conference. But where people get sidetracked is, let's just say the Patriots, they went buck last year, and they were in the East. But every year, there's a rotation where each member of the conference plays each other on a rotational basis. So let's just say the East played the North this year, and they will play every team in the North. So the other divisions that they don't play, the South and East, South and West, they will play the 4th place teams there. So you're going to get all the 4th place teams in the conference, plus you're going to play the other 3 from that one division that you're dedicated to play. And on the flip side, you're going to play a conference, division from the other conference, just like you do in your conference. And then that 4th place, you're going to play a 4th place team from the opposite side as well. So that's how the NFL does their schedule. So you don't get that much of a break from having a 4th place schedule. But regardless of whoever you play, and you find yourself in the playoffs, you're going to play against teams who played against everybody else. Because it's such a small league, what difference does it make how you got to the playoffs? If you got there, you still have to play. And when they got there, they earned their way to the Super Bowl. Yeah, they got an inept Texas offense. Yeah, they got a break when Denver lost their quarterback and they played in the snow. But who's to say something won't happen that allows them to stay in this game with Seattle? Anything can happen, man. When you upset your way to a championship, 1 or 2 things are going to happen. Either you're going to continue to do the things that got you in that position, or midnight is going to strike and you're going to get run off. And most people are pointing at New England being run off. However, the problem with that is that kind of talk is reaching the Seahawks camp. And a lot of people feel like the Seahawks are way overconfident. And if they are way overconfident, that opens the door for New England to spring an upset. Vrabel, in my mind, is a good coach. And he's going to come up with some kind of plan to slow that Seattle offense down. First thing they have to do is figure out a way to slow down Njigba. If you can slow down Njigba, they're going to have to double him. They're going to have to bracket him. They're going to have to beat him up on the line of scrimmage. They're going to have to do something. Remember, Vrabel was on those teams that helped slow down Peyton Manning. He's going to come up with some kind of plan that they pulled on Manning years ago, and they're going to try to use that to stop Njigba. If they can slow Njigba, that means the Seahawks are going to have somebody else open him up. That guy Shaheed is the question mark. He caught a long one last week against the Rams, and if he can catch one or two of those against New England, then they're not going to be able to do the things that they want to do against Njigba. Then you have to get your tight end loose. If you get him loose down the middle, and you got Shaheed, the threat on one side, and Njigba on the other, and then Cooper Kupp maybe in the flat somewhere, there are options there for the Seahawks to exploit this New England defense. But that defensive line is going to have to get home regardless of what plan they have for Njigba. And Shaheed, he's probably more of a threat on special teams. Now, me, I'm different than everybody else. I am not going to kick to anybody. So if you got a great special teams player, I'm kicking it out of bounds or I'm squibbing it. You are not going to beat me with that. But these guys in the NFL, they don't think that way. They're going to kick it to you. So Shaheed's going to have opportunities on special teams to make a play. And that's just the way the game goes. If you get beat like that, it's your fault because you kicked it to him. But you don't have to kick it to him. So keep an eye on that particular part. Now, when the Patriots have the ball, Drake May is going to have to keep those chains moving. And he's going to have to keep those chains moving probably by running around and escaping. And you have to know that Seattle is going to be on top of that. I don't know why Denver, they left some gaping holes for May to run through. And as well as they were advertised as a great defense, they sure didn't look like it at times. And it did slow them down. And you had to know that New England was going to come up with something. And what they did the best thing they could do. They ran Drake May out on a scramble to steal the game. That was a design play. So you have to expect to see that they're going to try to run the ball against the Seahawks. So the Seahawks were supposed to have a great defense too. Well, that's all predicated on your offense. If your offense can move the ball and keep you on the sideline refreshed, then you can play better defense. And that's why it comes down to which offense can move the ball. And if New England is able to move the ball and run that clock, that gives them a better chance. But if they struggle in any kind of way, this could turn into a nightmare for New England. Maybe they just might find themselves in the wrong place. I still say the Rams are the best team, but the Rams are dead for 2025. And you have to give the Seahawks the credit for getting to this position. And if they just show up and they play the game and they don't make any critical errors, there's no reason why Seattle shouldn't win this game. But that's why you play the game. And the great thing about it is you only get one shot. Like the NFL, NBA or the basketball, you get 1,000 chances to die in baseball and basketball and hockey, but not football. You get one shot. But I was talking to a guy yesterday and the question came up, what if the NBA played one game, do or die, in their playoffs? How much better would the level of play in the NBA improve? That would be something to see. One game, sudden death, that's it. No 7-game series, none of that. What would be the difference? And I will tell you this. You get a chance to see the coaches do their job in those series to come up with some kind of way to get their teams off track. They make subtle adjustments, and that's what the regular season helps you do, figure out how you can play a team if it came down to a playoff situation. On top of that, if the NFL was to do that and you don't have enough, the season, you will have to shorten the season up greatly to have some kind of series in the end where you have 2 out of 3. But even then, you'd be playing football year round, and that would get real old quick. So that's why you only have one chance to do something in football, and either you do it or you don't. And it's the reason why the game is so appealing is because it's like life. You get one shot. When it's in your face, you better capitalize on it. And a lot of people, they do not. They want to play a series because it's just like little Johnny, they got to have 1,000 chances to try to be successful. When in life, it don't really give you that. And that's why football is so popular. But I asked the question, are you satisfied with the Hall of Fame class? And most of you are saying no. Well, it's not a great class. But when you think about it, they got to put somebody in there. And you have to wait 5 years before you're eligible. And I think that when you look at this class and realize that Belichick got left off, you have to wonder, what is the NFL doing? If Belichick is not in the Hall of Fame, just like in baseball, if Pete Rose is not in the Hall of Fame, there's no real Hall of Fame because you're telling us that the best people aren't in there. And regardless of what Rose had done, the man hit all those hits. What is it, 4,000? Damn near 4,000? That is a lot of hits. That man hustled. He was a winner. He won championships. If Pete Rose is not in the Hall of Fame, there is no Hall of Fame. And if you're going to hold Belichick out for whatever you might not like him for because he got some chick 40 years as junior, you can't hold him against him. It's got nothing to do with the football. Forget the personal stuff. It's the football or the sport that matters that put a guy in the Hall of Fame. And again, if Rose is not in there, if Belichick is not in there, then you don't have anybody. It's almost like saying Michael Jordan should be in the Hall of Fame. Same kind of thing. And it's not right. All right, let's see what we got here. Selmo, what's going on, man? I'm over here talking and ain't said nothing to nobody. Legion of Steel, Bill shouldn't have cheated. Cheated, man, look here, man. Everybody's doing some kind of underhanded scheme. And again, even if you take out the Patriots' career with Belichick, he's still a Hall of Fame assistant. He won 2 championships with the Giants. And one of those was that improbable victory over Buffalo. So Belichick is certainly worthy enough to be in the Hall of Fame, even without the Patriots' success. All right. Selmo, GM, coach, good morning, coach. You spell it wrong. Hollered at JC. Drake May will have to wait another day. Yeah, I think he might be in the wrong place this weekend. But then again, this is a chance to shine, too. One game would be awesome. Yeah, I think it would be, but you know how those NBA guys are a bunch of crybabies. I think more and more about what Bill Russell said about not having to play against certain players because they wouldn't have been in the league. And basically what he was saying, they asked him about how would you how would you deal with a John Paxson in his day? And he said he wouldn't have had to because Paxson wouldn't have been there. He'd have been in the stand somewhere. So in other words, when you have 12 teams, just imagine the NBA right now with 12 teams. You got 12 teams. To make those teams, you got to be the absolute best. But if you take all the guys that got cut and you start expanding the league to 20 teams, now you got 8 more teams that you have to fill with somebody. And it's the guys that got cut. So the more you start adding teams to a league, the more your product gets watered down. And the NFL is talking about expanding some more. Why? You almost got the perfect setup the way it is. But they looked to play an 18th game with 2 bye weeks. I don't understand what the hell why would you want to do that? I mean, it was perfect at 16 games. And when you got 32 teams with these 4 team divisions, that's perfect. Why would you try to add to that? You go to add players, more teams, you add players that wouldn't normally make it. And that just makes for a bad product. NBA is, again, an excellent example. Look at the NBA and all the blowouts they have. You get a couple of teams with 2 or 3 players on it, and you play against a team with a couple of half-baked players on it, then you're going to see what you see, 30, 40-point blowouts. And all that is putting the product on TV, but who's watching? I don't want to sit there and watch it blow out. It don't make sense. Now, if your favorite team is blowing everybody out all the time, yeah, you might want to sit there and watch that. But even then, that gets old. So that's an appealing to the kids. But the dude with the wallet, dad or mom, he don't want to see that because they know what good teams look like. And that is not it. And I think when you start expanding like that, you take away from the product. So plays a big part. So Drake May, good player. He probably would make the league, but I just don't think it's his time. I'd like to see Stephon Diggs come up with a championship, but I don't think it's going to be his time. So them will say, tell Diggs and Carter to save the money they planning the victory celebration. and they ain't won anything yet. Well, he's got a shot, and everybody's got a shot until the game starts, and then we'll finally see what the truth is, and we'll see how he does. But he's barking up a bad tree with that chick. That's probably going to end badly too. But everybody do anything for a splash headline. More behind the scenes, what's really going on is the question. I don't know. But anyway, I got a couple of people saying that they are satisfied with the Hall of Fame class. I'm not dissatisfied with it. I think it would have been better with Belichick in there. It was a ho-hum class, nothing overly exciting about it, but players in there, for the most part, I think they deserve to be there. Anybody that plays a certain amount of time in the league that's had a successful track probably should be in there. At the same time, it's got to be a cutoff line. You can't just say just because this guy was a popular player, he should be in the Hall of Fame. If you're not going to come up with exceptional criteria, then everybody's going to make the Hall of Fame. And then again, what is the point? There is no point if everybody can get in there. So the exceptional players, they should get in first ballot. A lot of them do. Some of them you have to wait a long time. But my question is, if they weren't enough to be in the Hall of Fame, why should they wait? The only reason they're waiting because they've been putting limits on who gets in. If there was no limit, then you would have a lot more players getting in, and they won't be waiting around quite as long. But whenever you get there, I'm sure it's a great honor. And I say congratulations again to the new Hall of Fame class. And it's one more day to the big game, and that's what I'm interested in now, not what happened then. What's going to happen now? So that's my point on that. But anyway, Josh says a fake Hall of Fame. Yeah, there's a lot of that. You got a lot of players in there that are questionable, but you can't really translate the errors, compare them, saying who should get in, who shouldn't, because if you played in the 50s, that's a completely different game from what you're seeing now. A lot of people think that players in the 50s couldn't play today. That's not true. There's a lot of guys today that couldn't play in the 50s because they're soft. They're going to put a hat on you in the 50s, and they're going to fall on you 2-3 seconds after the whistle. So they had to clean all that stuff up. Otherwise, a lot of people are going to get hurt real bad. And these guys today, they can't stand that kind of pressure. So even though you couldn't play, most people couldn't play from the 50s, there's a lot of guys now that couldn't play back in the 50s. So think about that when you start comparing errors. But anyway, I got to get up out of here, man. I appreciate you guys chiming in with me. The plan is for Sunday is to go live. It's about 4 o'clock up to about kickoff. And depending on where I am, I might be able to simulcast the whole game. I'd rather talk to you guys than sit there in some kind of Super Bowl party with somebody. I got no interest in that whatsoever. So the likelihood for me going on 4 to about 10 is real great. So if you guys think about it, check me out. Let's see what we can talk about on Sunday. And I put the number up, so maybe you can come on. Let's talk about it on screen. So think about that. But in the meantime, I got to get up out of here. This kid's about to start tapping on my door, and looking forward to it getting started so it get over with. It'll be a long weekend, so I'm happy about it for the most part. But at the same time, it's going to be draining. So Selmo, JC, Legion of Steel. I don't know what this guy. I see what he's doing. Let's see what he's doing. Gotta go to hell, but I ain't even acknowledging. But anyway, you guys have a great day. And one last look at the poll. Are you satisfied with the class? Most of you are not, and I can understand why you're not. Anyway, you guys have a great day, and I catch you guys on the flip side. This is Sports Real Coach Home. I am out, man. I am out. All right, take it easy. See you guys next time.